Hello viewers, welcome to the next session of the MOOC course on Artificial Intelligence and Open Source Tool for Teaching Learning Excellence. Today I would like to talk about something that touches all of us, the challenges of our conventional education system. Education has always been seen as the foundation of personal and national growth. Yet, the way we teach and learn hasn't evolved as fast as the world around us. Let's reflect on some of these challenges, not to criticize, but to reimagine how education can truly empower learners in the 21st century. Friends, we all know how education shapes society, careers, and even our ways of thinking. But the big question is our conventional education system still serving the needs of today's learners? It's important to know and acknowledge the limitations of the present education system so as to address them and reinvigorate the education ecosystem as per the present and the future needs. Let's address the issues one by one. The first challenge is something most of us can relate to, and that is rote learning. We have all memorized pages of definitions of formulas before exams, right? But ask the same question a month later and it's gone. Our system often measures memory, not understanding. It rewards repetition over reasoning. It often prioritizes standardized testing and memorization, which hampers critical thinking, creativity, and real world problem solving. That is the gap between knowing and understanding, and rote learning widens this gap. Another major issue, we have turned education into an exam marathon. Students study for marks, not for meaning. Success is equated with scores, not skills. The pressure to perform in exams fosters stress and anxiety, diminishing students' intrinsic motivation to learn. Learning becomes a process focused on short term recall rather than deep understanding or skill development. If we truly want our learners to be ready for life, not just for exams, we must rethink how we access this success. Now, let's look at how our classroom function. Most of them still follow a teacher-centric approach. The teacher speaks, student listens, and the bell rings. This work method worked when information was scarce. Teacher was the only source of information and students were passive learners. But today, students can access these lectures, simulations, tutorials anywhere, anytime. And the teacher role has to evolve now from sage on the stage to guide on the side. The change required is to move towards student-centric approach because real learning happens when students engage, question and create. The another critical challenge which we have to talk about is the neglect of creativity and innovation. Our system often values correctness over curiosity. Mistakes are punished, but they are not explored. And subjects like art, design, theatre, they are considered extra. But friends, remember, the creativity is what drives innovation. Are we producing innovators or just obedient followers? Think of people like Steve Jobs or APJ Abdul Kalam. Both of them believed creativity and science must coexist. Innovation comes when imagination meets the knowledge. Creativity is not chaos, it's the courage to see differently, and education must nurture that courage. Our next issue is standardization, the tendency to make the education one size fits all. Our curriculum in many places are still decades old. Even if they are modified, the main structure remains the same. Like if I take the example of engineering, the engineering students still study the same outdated machines. Commerce students, they graduate without ever hearing about startups, fintechs, or sustainability. So, this rigid, uniform system ignores students' diverse learning styles, interests, and abilities. So, the fixed schedules, fixed classrooms, fixed syllabi all limit the flexibility and personalization. The mismatch between what is taught and what's needed leads to unemployable graduates. And that is why the National Education Policy 2020 emphasizes updating the curricula regularly and integrating the areas like AI, data analytics, and climate literacy. Education must evolve continuously, providing the flexibility to all and everyone in every aspect. The another pressing issue is limited focus on skill development. Our education system is still degree driven, not skill driven. We train our students to pass exams and to solve problems. Again, I'll take the example of engineering. Many students know circuit theory but have never built one. Or if I talk about management students who know the communication skills in theory but they freeze when asked to present something. As a popular saying goes, you can't learn swimming by reading a book. You have to jump into the water. And the same applies to the education skills. Education skills come through doing. If we want confident, employable graduates, then the answer is internship and fieldwork become mandatory in all degree programs, not only the technical or engineering programs, but arts, any field, there should be the internships and the fieldworks. Now let's talk about technology, which is very important. We live in a digital world, but many of our classrooms are still stuck in the chalk and talk era. While technology has transformed every other sector, teaching methods have largely remained the same. The conventional education frequently fails to integrate technology and the contemporary skills necessary for the evolving workforce. With rapid technological shifts, students may not be adequately prepared for future workplace requirements or the demands of the knowledge economy. This leaves the students unprepared for knowledge economy and the digital workforce. Technology, when it will be used wisely, can make learning more interactive, more inclusive, and inspiring. But again, the real question is how do we ensure the technology bridging gaps but not widening them? And that is the challenge and opportunity before us. And this course, I ensure you, is going to bridge this gap. The another pressing challenge presently is the lack of personalized learning. Our traditional education system, they assume that all students learn in the same way. As I mentioned, one size fits all model, but we all know it's not true. Each learner is unique. Some learn by reading, others by seeing, and some by doing. A student with dyslexia may struggle with text but excel in the visual learning. Yet, we still expect everyone to learn and perform the same way. Large class sizes, teacher-centered approaches results in limited individual attention and engagement. The passive learning environments can leave students bored, and disconnected, while generalized instructions fails to address specific student needs. The modern idea is personalized learning, adapting methods and adapting pace to each and every learner individually. The technology can help here through adaptive learning platforms, interactive tools, or blended approaches that cater to the varied learning styles. We must also acknowledge another hard truth: inequality in education. The quality of education a child receives still depends heavily on where they live and what their parents can afford. During the pandemic, while some child attended online classes on a laptop, another struggled to get a mobile signal to download the notes. This digital and resource gap is not just about technology, it's about opportunity. It's time to think about inclusive education, finding ways to bring every learner along, no matter their background or location. Our next challenge is something often overlooked, that is, the lack of emotional and social learning. We have focused so much on grades that we often forget the person behind the student. Many students face anxiety, peer pressure, and emotional burnout. But our education system rarely teaches empathy, resilience, teamwork, or self awareness, the very skills that define emotional intelligence. We always talk about IQ, but it is the time to talk in terms of EQ, emotional quotient. These activities help the students manage their emotions, build positive relationships, and stay grounded amidst the challenges. If we want to nurture balanced, kind, and confident individuals, emotional learning must become as important as academic learning. Now, let us talk about the heart of the system, that is, our teachers. Even the best curriculum or technology can't transform the education unless teachers are empowered, motivated, and up to date. But the reality is, many teachers still use outdated methods, not because they don't care, but because they have not been given opportunities for continuous professional development. Technology changes fast, pedagogies evolve, but teachers' training often doesn't. There, the NAP 2020 has proposed continuous teachers' training through digital platforms, which is a much needed step. NAP 2020 rightly addresses this by proposing continuous professional development through platforms or blended learning models, because teachers are not just transmitters of knowledge, they are now the transformers of lives. Friends, finally, the hardest challenge: our own resistance to change. Even when we know reforms are needed, system is slow to move. Teachers worry, what if new method fail? Administrators fear, what if outcomes drop? But we must remember, innovation always involves uncertainty. Changes can feel uncomfortable, but stagnation is far more dangerous. Education, by its very nature, should inspire curiosity and adaptability. So, if we want our students to embrace lifelong learning, we must first model that openness to change ourselves. So, friends, when we look at all of these challenges, whether it is rote learning, outdated curriculum, exam pressure, inequality, and resistance to change, it becomes clear that the conventional education system faces multifaceted, interconnected challenges. And addressing these limitations require a transformative approach, integrating personalized, competency based, flexible, and technology enabled education that recognizes learner diversity and prepare individuals for the complexity of the modern world. Despite this, we should not forget that the conventional education system has given us the structure, has given us the discipline and foundation literacy. So, what we need now is reinvention, not rejection. We need a systematic transformation, one that redefines how we teach, assess, and connects with the learner. And the national education policy is a positive step forward. It envisions learner centered, multidisciplinary, and skill based education. So, we must move, if I summarize, we must move from memorization to understanding, from standardization to personalization, from just marks to meaning, from instructions to inspiration, and from education for jobs to education for life. So, here we will stop for this session, and in the coming sessions we will see how this conventional education system can be transformed into the education system which is the requirement of the day and requirement of the future. Thank you so much.